Okay, let's
Okay.
let's start with the
Let's
question.
start. Yes.
Okay, amazing. So Kathy is saying here, my 8-year-old feral rescued in the 12/22, December 22, I guess. Big male red cat had a dental 2 months ago with 4 lower molars extracted, 2 on each side. My question is about the future care of his teeth. What can I give him for the remaining red line on his gums and the care and prevention of plaque for the future? I can give remedies but cannot brush his teeth without losing a finger, and he won't eat chicken necks. He's completely raw-fed and gets feline gut soothe daily.
Okay. Well, homeopathic remedies would help a lot for this. So I would say, yeah, Judy Morgan is also, I just saw Judy Morgan's thing come up. She's got an interesting dental product. Judy Morgan has a really interesting dental product but you'd have to put it in his mouth. So if you can't do that, then if you can't put anything, you can't brush his teeth or anything, that would be difficult. So do you, who is this? What is this person's name?
Kathy.
So if this person has a pen and paper, or if somebody wants to put this in the message box, she can give homeopathic remedies in a syringe to the cat. Yes, for sure. So what I would say is for the red line, arnica 200C, pepper sulf 30C, aconite 200C, echinacea 12C, and I wonder if it's painful. Can she type in if it's painful? If his gums are painful? Arnica, pepper sulf, aconite, echinacea. Not painful. Okay, that's what I would do. So I would, and the feline gut soothe is really good too. The other thing that's really helpful, I don't know if your cat would eat it, but is our phytosynergy because of the superoxide dismutase. It's really, really good. Altogether, yes. So you would just take the pellets, take 2 pellets of each one, put them in a glass, let them dissolve for 20 minutes, glass of water, let them dissolve for 20 minutes, put like a saucer or something on top of the glass, let it dissolve, and then you stir it after 20 minutes, and you can literally squirt. If the cat is eating, did you say the cat's eating raw?
Yeah.
Okay, you can literally squirt it on his food. Take a syringe, fill up a syringe, like a 3cc syringe in half, pour it on his food, and he can actually just eat it in his food, or you can squirt it in his mouth, whatever works best for you. How often? Altogether, yes, and I would do it 3 times a day for a week, and then once a day for a week, and then maybe once a week for a month.
Amazing. Thanks, Julie. Elaine is asking here, Julie, please discuss in detail the yeast protocol, leak gut protocol, probiotic bundle. Is it necessary that each dog complete a yeast test prior to beginning it? And if so, do you sell the test? Should probiotics be given to dogs with suspected yeast? And if so, which ones? I have heard that yeast dying off too quickly is even worse on the dog, and so I'm apprehensive to do the protocol bundle. What limited diets are recommended for dogs with suspected yeast? Are there any available for purchase, or must they be homemade? Thanks in advance. I'm gonna copy and paste.
Yeah, I can't see that either.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a lot of what you're saying is very true. The whole reason why the yeast protocol was made is because you shouldn't really be giving probiotics to a dog with yeast. And that's because you will create a Herx reaction, or can create a Herx reaction, which is what you're talking about. So too quick of a die-off is called a Herx reaction. And what happens in that case is that the yeast die off too quickly, and when the yeast is dead, it produces like many, many, many more toxins. I think there's about 15 toxins, including what's nail polish made out of? Someone can tell me what nail polish is made from. I can't remember the name, but it's one of the toxins that, no, not lacquer. Acetone. Thank you, Linda. So acetone is one of the chemicals that yeast actually secretes when it's alive. And then when it's dead, when it dies, it actually can produce, like, I think 6 times more. When that happens, the dog actually looks like it's getting more yeast. So then it runs to you run it to the vet, and the vet puts it on more ketoconazole because it looks identical, because it is actually the same toxins that are being produced, but they're actually being produced more. So that it creates the same symptoms. So your question is, should we be doing, can we discuss the detail of the yeasty okay. So in our Yeasty Beast protocol, what's in there are particular herbs, and which is really special is an enzyme. So the idea is you starve the yeast. So when you get the protocol, it talks about using food that has 0 sugar, and I mean 0 sugar. 0 sugar as far as any kind of vegetable, no vegetable sugars, nothing. The yeast starts to get weak, and even that it starts to make the yeast more susceptible, and then the enzyme in it helps to almost like ingest the yeast, so that you don't get this big garbage can full of dead yeast structures, which then is what creates even the Herx reaction even more. So when we did, and then we support the liver, and then we actually have a particular homeopathic remedy in there to deal with yeast. So it's specifically targeted to deal with yeast. But don't forget that if your dog has yeast, for sure, then more than likely you have to heal its gut after, because the yeast actually look like little barbs. They're quite scary looking under a microscope, and they look like tiny little barbs that really play a massive number on the gut, like a really massive number on the gut. So that's the idea. And we have 1 Saccharomyces in it, which is the only probiotic that you can use with yeast, and it helps to actually draw it out. It's a very different type. So when should probiotics be given to dog with suspected yeast, and which ones? Okay, so I don't recommend using probiotics. The only time I recommend using probiotics is at the very end of the Yeasty Beast protocol. Saying that, if your dog has so much yeast, what we sometimes recommend is the turtle wins the race kind of deal. So you can do 2 weeks of the Yeasty Beast protocol, then you can do 2 weeks of the leaky gut protocol, then you go back to 2 weeks of the Yeasty Beast protocol. And what that does is it kills the yeast, then it helps to heal the lining that the yeast is basically trashing. Then you can go back. So you're doing it in small stages. Some dogs are completely fine just going on the Yeasty Beast protocol on its own. And when you do the Yeasty Beast protocol, it is specifically formulated to try not to get a Herx reaction. So what you said, should probiotics be given to dogs with suspect yeast? If so, which ones? I've heard that the diet can make it worse. I'm apprehensive to do the protocol bundle. So the protocol bundle, if you're talking about ours, doesn't contain probiotics, and it's specifically formulated to do exactly what you're concerned about. I think I was one of the very first people to ever talk about Herx reactions, and that's what that protocol is specifically for, is to try to alleviate any kind of Herx reaction. And what are limited diets for recommended for dogs with, so no sugar. So like no carrots, no yams, no, nothing sugary, no carbohydrates, no dry dot, predominantly for a little while they're on the protocol, predominantly protein and green vegetables are green leafy vegetables are the main things that you want to stay on, so that you're decreasing the yeast as much as you possibly can.
Thanks, Julie. I'm gonna copy and paste the next question for you so you can follow my reading. Jody is saying, please help. My dog is 2 years old, mixed breed. Last year, he had multiple seizures. He had all the tests done, MRI, spinal tap, and blood work. Nothing definitive showed, so he was diagnosed with epilepsy. He's medicated to keep the seizures at bay, and it's working for the most part. Zamisamide, Capra, potassium bromide. We are currently weaning him off the Zoma now and potassium next. But now he's having secondary episodes, the neurologist calls them. He will suddenly go blind, become paralyzed, tear, and draw uncomfortably. This episode lasts about an hour and a half, start to finish. These episodes happen every other day right now. I feed him a Viva Raw diet with Carna for kibble. I give him MCT oil daily. I have cut out all grain and gluten. I'm at such a loss. Any advice would be appreciated.
Yeah, it's a lot. Holy.
It is a lot.
Dog is it? Secondary episodes. Wow. Can she write in the chat if I'm asking her questions in the chat? Do you know, Mariana?
Let me check. I think she's
Yeah, oh, she's there. Okay.
she's here, yeah.
So did the secondary episodes happen after all the drugs were started? Jody? Yes, okay. Is he having, how often was he having seizures? Like when you say had multiple seizures, do you know how often he was having the seizures before he went on all the drugs? Obviously you would know. And then we have a cluster. Okay. Has he ever had a brain trauma? Did they see any kind of trauma in his MRI? Like any kind of concussion? Do you know if he ever had? No, nothing. Was he vaccinated for rabies anytime, like within like maybe a 6-month period before he started having the first seizure? Oh, nothing. Can't see chat. Someone saying we got him at 6 months.
Jody, if you can please change your chat to everyone, then I don't know if feel you can do if you feel comfortable to do it.
So you got him at 6 months. And how old was he when he had his first seizure? About a year. So he was about a year old. She got him at 6 months. They went on pheno first. Do we? Okay. So about a year. Okay. And the only reason I'm asking you this is did you have him vaccinated prior to his first, like just prior to his first seizure? Not just prior, but yet within 6 months. Okay, one last question. And was one of those vaccines rabies? No, rabies, he got that before he came to me. Okay. All right. Well, that's a really interesting thing. I've had a lot of success, but you would have to talk to the neurologist, a million trillion percent with CBD, full spectrum CBD with seizures. There's been lots and lots and lots of cases, and I've had lots of cases at my clinic with that. I would, this is an intense case, right? And to me, you need some brain homeopathic brain remedies. And I know if you were to call Andrea Ring, if you can put Andrea's thing in the chat, Mariana, so that she can have it, because I would look at that and I would be giving this dog remedies to decrease brain swelling, um, dealing with the meninges of the brain. I would be giving him remedies to for brain stem stuff. Like there's so many homeopathic remedies that has, and what's a really cool thing about that, it has zero, and I mean zero, contraindications with all the drugs he's on. You wouldn't have to worry about one single solitary thing with those drugs. But ask your neurologist if he can go on CBD, and ask if he can go on lion's mane mushrooms. Those would be the two things that I would be looking at giving from a perspective of like a like a you know like an extra herb or anything like that. I would be very careful what I gave him when he's this susceptible. But homeopathics, I'm telling you, I can think of 10 homeopathic remedies that I think he could be on or should be on. And you wouldn't have to worry one single bit. And she would probably have remedies that when he goes into these secondary episodes, that you can give him right away. So I'm not sure when he's talking about secondary episodes, whether that has, if they're considering it as epilepsy. Because the other thing, I'm sure they've told you this a million times, about putting ice on the back of their neck, like right at the base of their head when they're having these episodes, putting ice on the back or the base of their heads. And then when they're coming out of it, I don't know whether it's going to work for the secondary ones, but it sure does work really well for seizures. Feeding them right away as soon as they can swallow, giving them some food, not honey and all that stuff, but actual food. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you were to come into me in my clinic, I would be starting the dog on lion's mane and a bunch of different homeopathics, and giving you homeopathic emergent. Like I would put him on constitutional remedy for what's going on with him, and then I would give you emergency remedies that when he goes into these episodes, to start them right away. That's really hard. That's a hard one for poor little guy.
Thank you, Julie. Sending you the next question. It's from Amanda. An ultrasound shows inflammation in my dog's small intestine. I currently have him on healthy gut, liver tonic, and potency. Blood work has shown a significant dip in creatine kinase and folate, plus increased TLI on a Texas GI panel.
Can you
He,
put it in a thing for me? Because I can't read it. I can't find it.
I put it in the chat
You
for
did?
you.
Okay, that's just way down. Okay, sorry. Yeah, an ultrasound. Okay, and my
Yeah.
dog, small intestine. I'm a healthy cat.
He's also had muscle weakness and hair loss on flanks, plus whiskers falling out. Is an endocrine issue possible, or is this more likely intestinal issues such as small absorption?
So he had some significant dip in creatinine and kinase and folate. So they were clearly looking to for SIBO, I would imagine. Who is this person? Sorry, I just heard
Amanda
Amanda.
Andrew.
So Amanda, were they checking him for SIBO with a folate test? I don't know if she can put it in the chat.
Not
Not
specifically.
specifically. Okay. So so he's on, where did she say what he's on? He's also had muscle weakness and hair loss on his flanks. Wow. I'm sure he's had every other test, right? Like all his blood work done. They've checked for like his adrenals and all of that, I would imagine, because it sounds very adrenally as well. He also had muscle weakness and hair loss on his flanks. Whiskers falling out. Is an endocrine issue possible, or is it more likely intestinal? No, I don't know. Is that okay? I know this is crazy. Amanda, are you thinking that this could be adrenal? Because if you are, I really feel like you're definitely on a good track. That's for sure. I would, when we're talking about SIBO, or we're talking about anything like muscle weakness, hair loss on flanks, the fact that his whiskers are falling out, that really does sound endocrine or hormonal of some kind. But it can be malabsorption for sure, but you wouldn't know that unless you did a full panel on seeing where his protein levels are and where his mineral levels and vitamin levels are. Then you would know whether he has malabsorption. But if it's small intestine inflammatory, like that's usually small intestine really speaks quite clearly to SIBO. So I would, can you answer one more question for me? This is terrible. Does he get diarrhea?
No, she said
No. Okay.
no.
All right. So I would put from a homeo or from a adored beast perspective, if you're asking about what I would put him on, I would actually put him on Soil and Sea. I would put him on Phytosynergy and Liver Tonic. And then I would also put him on Potency. That's good. So he's on Liver Tonic, Healthy Gut. Man, it really sounds hormonal to me. I mean, I'm not saying that. Have you done, this is crazy. I feel like I'm just have to ask all these questions. Amanda, have you done a full thyroid panel, like a full panel? Oh, that's what you just only, oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. First thing I would do with this dog, very first thing is I would have a full thyroid panel, and I would actually ask them to send it to Dr. Jean Dodds. And you would want to do a T4, a free T4, a T3, a free T3, an auto antibody, thyroid auto antibody. Give Jean Dodds his symptoms, like have your clinic give Jean Dodds the dog's symptoms. And I would send it to her because she's a board certified veterinary endocrinologist. Because a T4 is not going to tell you anything. It's going to tell you absolutely nothing. And I would do a full, how old is the dog again? Doesn't say. I would do a full, something called a 7.5. I would do a geriatric panel and a urinalysis. Because something else seems to be very odd. But from a perspective of support for him, I would be doing the Soil and Sea, keep him on the Liver Tonic, and put him on Synergy, because Synergy really does give a really strong amino acid profile and a really strong mineral profile. So that's what I would do, and I would get the rest of those Cushing's and Addison's. Now the problem with doing doing those tests, I would rule out his thyroid stuff first. And then when Jean Dodds looks at it, she'll talk to you about that. It does sound to me very Cushing's. The problem with Cushing's is that the ACTH test, the testing on Cushing is really, really hard. You can do a resting cortisol urine test. That would be something that you could do, but what you have to take that test at home. Don't take your dog to the clinic and have that test done, because when animals are stressed, they're going to have cortisol automatically. It's going to show up in their urine. So you would want to ask them to take to give you a little cup to take home. Get a soup ladle, and first thing in the morning, go out and collect the urine, and then take it into the clinic right away and have them check the cortisol levels. But you're going to have to tell them before you do it, because sometimes most clinics have to send those out. So just ask them, just say you'd like to do a resting cortisol urine test, and you're going to take the urine at home. But I would definitely do I would definitely start there and do the test to Jean Dodds. That's what I would do first, get all of that information back, because the test for Cushing's can be quite hardcore on the animal. And if it's Cushing's, you usually see something called PUPD, which is polyuria polydipsia, which is increased panting and increased urination and increased thirst. They often pant a lot. They usually have high liver enzymes, and they're very hungry usually. So those are common symptoms of Cushing's. They're usually always PUPD, but not always. But you're gonna rule, if you do a Jerry panel, you'll be able to see what his liver enzymes are like. If you do the full thyroid panel, you're going to get a lot of questions answered that way, and then you could go on to the next step.
Thanks,
Okay.
Julie. Again, I'm gonna copy and paste this one
Okay.
in the chat just for Julie, everyone, so I don't mess with all the conversation that is going on. Hi, Julie. It's from Christina Higgs. Hi, Julie. In an attempt to help empower other fellow dog owners, I have been sharing the facts I've been learning about the gut. However, I've been running into people who won't believe anything I say unless I have links to the exact clinical studies proving it. I know you have personally dealt with similar situations, and I would really love to glean off of your knowledge and experience. I know some people are never going to listen, but how can I approach these situations? Everyone is so stuck in the rut of needing studies to believe anything, yet will believe their vet blindly. For example, I had someone challenge me when I said there are healthy levels of yeast and pathogens in the gut, which it uses to defend itself. Where is your proof? Thank you so much for spending your evening with us, answering questions. My pup is alive and healing from the inside out because of the knowledge I have gained from these Q&As. Love and hugs.
That's nice.
Thank you, Christina.
So, yeah, I've I've been there for 30 years. You all know that I wrote an article in 2000 and whatever 6 about probiotics and the microbiome of the gut, and was made to retract it and fined, because I owned a vet hospital, fined by the Vet Association because there was no proof that probiotics could help dogs. But, fast ahead into 2023, or 2024 now, almost, oh my gosh, almost 20 years ago, right? There are so many studies talking about the positive impact of the microbiome on animals' guts. So I think the best way to talk to people. I think that's what you're asking me, is like how do you actually spread the word and information. There are lots of like I said, there's lots and lots of studies about that. The interesting thing that you're going to run into is the same thing as me, because when I started, there was no information for animals. It was all human based. And I was working pretty closely with not closely, but followed a pediatrician that was working with children in the microbiome of children in autism and ADHD and the gut brain axis. And I just used human studies with most people. And what I mean, a gut is a gut, other than the acidity and the length, but the microbiome and how it synergistically works with the body. Like the fact that the gut is, like I always say, the gut is the conductor of the symphony of the body. So it tells the brass section when to go, and the horn section when to stop, and the piano when to start, and the violins when to stop, and it conducts the entire body. So that process of what the gut does with a person and with a dog is exactly the same. So I often say to people, a cell is a cell. So what makes you sick, and what things that make you get cancer, and things that age you faster, and things that are unhealthy for your cells and oxidate your cells and do all that kind of stuff, like free radicals and millions of things. The same thing creates unhealthy cells with animals. So it doesn't matter if it's a cell of a horse, a dog, a pig, a person. That what makes a healthy, it's the same supportive understanding of what keeps cells healthy and what harms cells. So I think you just have to stay. I'm closing my eyes when I'm talking to you, because I'm putting myself back into the position of trying to either defend or educate or empower people that just weren't ready to hear about it. And I just started giving people things to read. Sometimes, I'm a massive tree nerd, and I try to protect trees to the nth degree. But I would print things off and I would give them to people to read, or I'd send them in text, or I'd send them via email when you find them to certain people. But you just have to when you're talking to people, you're going to know who's open to really hearing you and what isn't. And try not to take things too personally, and try to just breathe. And if I could just take you back in time, over 20 years ago, 25 years ago with me, and where we've come right to now, just stay hopeful, because it is coming. It's People are getting more and more and more and more and more open to gut health and understanding gut health with animals. And we have blogs talking about it. And I hear what you're saying, that it's very unfortunate that people are getting too stuck in science. Like, it really is. And this is coming from somebody that's like a complete science nerd. But a lot of common sense gets wasted, and empirical proof and things like that get wasted with always saying that you have to be science based. But there is lots of stuff proving that. I'll bet you right now, if I was to get on my phone and Google what are the contributing health factors of pathogenic bacteria and yeast in the microbiome, you would probably find 10 studies just Googling that. So they're out there. Really, really try hard not to get too frustrated, because all it does is frustrate you. and what I can say to you, because what did you say? It's like banging your head against the wall when trying to tell people about the gut-brain connection. Oh, I'll look that up. Thank you. And you know what what I also have to say, because I've had to do it with myself just to sort of like recharge myself sometimes, is you just have to, this is why it's so great talking to you guys all the time. Because I know that everyone out there that's listening, I'm not trying to convince, right? It's like everybody's there with an open mind and open heart, trying to do the best for their animals. So you should try to surround yourself with people of like mind, or at least people that are open-minded, and talk to them. Like go to pet stores that have the same philosophy as you, just so that you can, like I said, get recharged and talk to somebody that that is within the same philosophy. But when you say to someone that, you know, there's so much information and there's so much science to it, you know, get yourself prepared. Put, you know, I have these things, you know, you have notes on your phone, right? I don't know if you do, but what a really good thing would be is that go on, get some science-based stuff, copy and paste it, put it in your notes, like just put it in one of your notes, and be prepared so that if you are talking to someone and you're talking about a specific thing, just say, oh, well, hang on a second, and just take it, copy and paste it, and text it to them while you're standing there talking to them. And then they can just read it or not read it. They can put it in their garbage, or they can do it. That's all. That's the only thing only advice I can give you. And just keep, you know, just keep getting out there. And, you know, if of 2 people of 100 people that you talk to understand and get aha moments, they're going to tell 5 more people. You don't feel like you're making a difference, but honestly, you're making a difference.
Yeah, just keep with your truth, because that's what matters, I guess, at the end.
Yeah, and don't give up. You
Yeah.
don't, no.
Elizabeth is here saying my daughter's dog was just diagnosed with pancreatitis last week. Please, can you advise on what to feed? She has been fed raw since she was a puppy. She will be 10 in April. Can she have omega-3? Trip eggs? I don't know if there's, because the question ends like this. I'm gonna send you in the chat.
Okay, my daughter was just diagnosed with pancreatitis last week. Please, can you advise on what to feed? She's been fed raw since she was a puppy. She will be 10 in April. Can she have omega-3 tripe eggs? I can't really say what she can eat, because I don't know her case at all. I'm not too sure what their vet is telling them to eat, probably like 0 fat and all that sort of stuff. I think Judy Morgan has a pancreatitis remedy, doesn't she? Not remedy, recipe. Emily, do you know if she does? I think she does. I think she has a on her, is it on her site? I'm not sure. I don't know, but okay. I think she's got a good one. Yes, she does. Yeah, she's got some really good recipes. I would definitely follow her recipes. But I would be giving, like, from a perspective of how to support her to get through her pancreatitis is something else completely different. I would be giving her liver tonic, 1,000,000,000,000,000%, and I would probably be giving it to her 3 to 4 times a day. And that supports the whole portal system, right? Like the pancreas, the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, which is really what you want to do. You don't want to just look at the pancreas, because when the pancreas is crashing, everybody else is trying to support it. The liver, the gallbladder, the body is working in overdrive to try to do that. But the big thing about pancreatitis is trying to help with the pain, because it can be really painful, and the pain causes the nausea, and it can be really hardcore. I would, as an adjunct, I would get our go-to that we have, the Adored Beast go-to, and I would be giving that 4 times a day to her. And that could really, really, really be of great value for just to get her through the acute stage with whatever else your vet is telling you to do. But long term, because if she's 10 and she's got it and she didn't sort of get into anything, like didn't get into the garbage and eat a whole bunch of stuff, she seems fine today, I would still give it to her. Because even though she's seeming fine, they don't, pancreatitis is really hard on the islet of the pancreas, and you want to get that inflammation down and you want to get that trauma down big time, because what I would be worried at 10 years old is it's going to reoccur. And that's what I've seen lots and lots. They get over one and then they get another one, and then they get over that one, and then they get another one. So, keeping her on liver tonic, decreasing her stress, and I would put her on go-to for sure.
Thanks, Julie. Lily is asking, and I'm copying and paste for you because it's a big one. Just a second. So she's asking, she has a Caring Terrier, age 10, that has high liver enzymes, was 817 and 70 in October. Her stools are finally normal, and energy has improved since being on Wolf, Phytosynergy, and Gut Soothe. She is no longer going outside to eat grass. Here is what I'm feeding her. I take ground turkey and add all of these vegetables and bake in the oven. Fresh ginger, green beans, butternut squash, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, cranberries, shiitake mushrooms, eggs, and eggshells. I also give CoQ10, CoQ10, taurine, vitamin C, parsley, red cheese, calamari oil, green bean, soul food, Phytosynergy liver tonic, Wolf gut soothe freeze-dried gizzards. I rotate with sardines, freeze-dried turkey muse bars, beef patties and rabbit patties, and raw vibrance by Dr. Harvey. I'm also giving your go-to when ears get inflamed. Jump for joints to help the joints. Liver tonic, Turktail, Phytosynergy, Wolf, and Gutsoot. I'm currently rotating with the Wolf 1 week, then Gutsoot. How long should stay on the Wolf? Gutsoot, and I'm assuming Phytosynergy, but I couldn't find the final of this. But
Yeah.
How can she rotate everything?
That's a lot.
It is.
So, do you know where that was in October, November? Are her liver enzymes down now? And she put that. Lily, can you tell me whether her liver enzymes have been rechecked since October when starting all of this stuff?
She said
Haven't rechecked it.
not rechecked the blood work yet.
All right. Well, I would. October, November, December, January. I definitely would. It's been almost 5 months. The first thing I would do is recheck her you just have to take her in and just do her liver values, because that way you're gonna know whether you're on the right track, right? Like whether all of this is supporting her liver. Is it higher? Is it lower? From a rotational perspective, something that has that high of liver enzymes, I would keep her on liver tonic all the time. And if she's at age 10, I would be leaving her on liver tonic 3 times a day till her liver values either go back to normal or are at a rate that is acceptable, and she doesn't have any symptoms, right? So she's asymptomatic. So I can't really speak to anybody else's stuff like Green Min, Soul Food. I know that Soul Food is I would be careful, just be careful with stuff with too many minerals when you've got liver stuff. You don't want to have you don't want to, and especially make sure that the minerals that are water soluble and that you don't have to worry about being like getting too many of them and taxing the liver. But when it comes to our stuff, Phytosynergy and liver tonic, I wouldn't rotate, not with an 870 enzyme. But you could definitely continue to rotate the wolf and the gutsooth. And if you want to do Dr. Tobias's in that rotation, that his probiotics in that rotation, you can do that as well. It sounds like what you're doing is really great, but I would check to be sure. I'm like I said before, I am a little bit of a science nerd, but stealing a little bit of blood and just checking where you're at. I don't like, turning dogs into, lab rats or pin cushions or something. But 5 months, you should be seeing it, and doing all of this, you should be seeing a drastic, I would think, improvement in her liver values. And if you don't, then I would be looking at finding the balance of the food in here. And then I would be looking at cutting down some of this stuff, not giving quite so much, and maybe then adding little bits at a time, like little bits back at a time. But shiitake mushrooms are great. Sprouts are Brussels sprouts, kale. It's great. It's great what you're doing, but this is a lame answer. I'm sure you wanted to hear more than this, but I would just recheck your blood work and see where you're at. Because you might be spot on. You might be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And from my perspective, I would just be, the only thing from adored beast I would be rotating is wolf and gutsooth. And I would probably be doing it like 1 week wolf, 1 week gutsooth, 1 week wolf, 1 week gutsooth. That's how I would do it with high enzymes.
We have a question here in the chat. Diana Williamson, she's saying that she asked her question second, but it was never addressed. So I don't know if we had something going on with the Q&A. So that's why I'm asking the question that's here in the chat. Okay, guys. So she's asking about detoxing with the pet food scares going on for cats. Would liver detox help while transitioning off Purina, as my cat just had his first seizure, lost my other cat to kidney failure in January, and I'm worried it could have been related to Purina.
It is very scary. So yes, definitely liver detox. And I'm talking about go-to a lot today, but what go-to does is it helps to deal with trauma. And anytime anything is toxic, you are traumatizing the organ in which it's toxic to. So, really, some things are toxic to the brain. Some things are more toxic to the liver. Some things are more toxic. Sorry. Some things are more toxic to the kidneys. Good boy, Henry. It really depends. So what I would be doing, and what I've already told people to do with this scare, is liver tonic for sure. And then go to try to get a homeopathic remedy called phosphorus and nux vomica. Newly. Hey, sorry guys. Oh my God, the cat and dog fight in the middle of the thing. It's okay. Henry's my like not allowed to scratch the thing. You're not allowed to do this. So phosphorus really supports the kidneys and the brain. Nux vomica and the gut. Nux vomica is a chemical detoxifier, so it helps to rid endotoxins and things like that. It's really, really good. So I would be getting like 30 C's of both of those, and anyone that is in the situation that they know that their animal has this situation going on can be giving go to and those two remedies and liver tonic at the same time. And I would be doing them at least 3 times a day, maybe even 4. Would natural milk thistle help liver values? It has my dog. Well, yeah, milk thistle is in our liver, is in our liver tonic. And the reason that I don't just do straight milk thistle, that Beth Greenway was asking this, is because I'm such a stickler about treating systems, right? So not just being compartmentalized and treating or working with just one organ. Because in my, this is just my personal opinion, there's no such thing as one organ in the body. They all affect and play off of each other. So if you can support the rest of the organs that are sisters and brothers or mates of the liver, you're not only supporting the liver, but you're trying to derail those other organs from going into overdrive, and then eventually those organs start to decline.
Amazing. Thank you, Julie. So Suze is asking here, she has a dog, Gordy, a 7+ border collie with golden, has always been 41 pounds, except when his aunt died and he gained 15 pounds. I put him on raw and he went back down. Everyone is saying how skinny he is. Lots of energy, does agility, added another puck to his diet. Blood work was good. Any hints? I'm putting the question for you.
I can see that one now.
Oh, okay.
So many questions to the questions.
Mhm.
Was Gordy on when he gained the 15 pounds? Was he on, Susie, if you could just tell me in the chat, was he on dry food at that time when he gained the 15 pounds when he got sad? Okay, God, no. When he got sad, or was he on raw then too? Because you said you put him on raw. He was on kibble. Okay. So this is my opinion about kibble fed dogs and raw fed dogs, is that raw fed dogs are, in my honest opinion, are so much more, it's so much more individualized than just going, he needs 2.5 cups or he needs 4.5 cups of kibble. It absorbs at different rates with different dogs, and I've seen many animals have to be on more food than what's recommended with raw. It's usually with dry, it's so interesting. People will say, oh, he's getting his allowance, he's getting like he's only getting 4 cups a day, or he's only getting 2 cups a day, which is what he's supposed to be getting, but he's getting fat, right? Like he's really chubby on that much. I see that a lot. And then I see the opposite with raw, where they go on raw and they just absorb it and they just utilize it so much, especially if he's an agility dog, and a border collie. I would be feeding him more in until you get him to the weight that he should be at. But he was 41 pounds on kibble too. It was only 6 months after, 6 months after his buddy died. Yeah. Well, we've it is really normal for animals to gain weight, lose weight, and feel grief, right? Like that's from grief. And adrenals are a big one. Adrenals and thyroid in grief, right? Those are the two hormones that can get greatly affected by grief. And I would say I've also seen something called rebounds. So when you're looking at hormones and stressors with hormones, I've seen this with people, I've seen this with animals where they get really stressed and they can get obese or they can get skinny, one of the two. Then when they start to stabilize again, the opposite happens. So then they get a rebound effect. So if they got overweight, then they start to come back into the center and then they'll rebound and get really skinny. That's often hormonal, like a hormonal stress induced issue. Or they'll get really, really skinny from stress. They'll come back into their normal and then they'll rebound into becoming overweight. So again, I really think that we have to be careful because blood work doesn't often give us a lot of information. By the time you see something that's going wrong in blood work, you're way down the rabbit hole, like way, way down the rabbit hole. Our blood work is so not it's not very proficient in finding things in the moment unless it's something really acute like poison or they've eaten something and they're going into acute renal failure or something like that, or really high enzymes of some kind for something acute. But something like this, it's unlikely that you'd even see anything on blood work until there's a problem. So for me, I would just keep feeding him until he's at the weight that is the best for him. Like, you've known him probably a long time, so it's 41 pounds, a good weight. Then feed him what he needs to eat raw wise until he's at 41 pounds again. That's what I would do.
Thanks, Julie. So Jen Maxwell is asking your opinion, your thoughts on seed oils.
Well, it depends on what they're eating. If you have an animal that's eating, we have hemp seed oil and I feed hemp seed oil to my guys, but it's one day hemp seed and the rest of the day's potency. So I get it in there once because of my concept of that is that they would be getting it through their prey. So, if they're eating prey that is eating seeds, whether that's a bird or a pheasant or a deer or whatever, they need to be eating the gut of that prey in order to get that oil. But they do get it, and it would depend on where they'd be hunting and what they would be eating. So I would be giving, I do give my animals it, but I probably 5 days potency, 2 days a seed oil, and those 2 days are in different. So let's say it's like Monday, Tuesday, Monday potency, Tuesday seed oil, Wednesday potency, Thursday potency, and then the Friday would be seed oil. So I split it up.
Thanks, Julie. And Elise is asking, what type of antioxidants would you recommend for a hyperthyroid cat?
Turkey tail and phytosynergy would be the ones that I would recommend.
Amazing. Noor is asking, my cat keeps crying. He wants to play all night, and I tried everything. I played with him for at least 45 minutes. Is there anything could help him relax?
And he just wants to crying. He wants to play all night. Nora, how old is your cat?
8. He's 8.
8.
Yeah. 9 in March.
Is this a new one? Is this a new thing? All of a sudden, he's starting to want to play at night and cry at night, or is that is it a new thing, or has he always done that? And is he really wanting to play, or is he sounds like he really wants to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would probably say gosh, that's odd if it's new. He always has been doing that, but it's been doing this constantly and continuously. If I wake up in the middle of the night, he gets so happy that I woke up.
Oh,
my God.
poor thing.
Someone just said, "Can you get a cat buddy?"
Yeah,
He
I thought
wants
about
to.
that too.
That's whoever said that, Diana Williamson. That's the first thing I thought too. Is he's
Yeah.
lonely. He's lonely. He's probably, I don't know if you go out to work during the day. But he's could be very, very lonely. Like he really does need he really does need to play and he needs a companion. That's what, rather than trying to quiet him down, I would try to do everything that I can to either the second that you get home from work is play with him for like an hour to get him more tired. Or I would get I would honestly get something another playmate if it's possible.
Megan is saying, what's better than one pet? 5 pets.
Lily Heiner, the wolf is calming my Cocker Spaniel down. That's awesome. Will you let us know? Will you let customer service know a little bit about that? I think I saw it. Someone else said something about the wolf and the animal being calmer. Anybody out there that's finding those results, we're trying to gather that information about the wolf.
Okay, so Christy is asking, do you have any suggestions about dealing with possible lung pulmonary mineralization or fibrosis? My 14-year-old Havanese with heart disease, IBD, and seizures started collapsing randomly, and a chest X-ray showed lots of white. All other tests came back okay, and blood work was unremarkable. I'm working with Andrea on a homeopathic remedies.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend Gut Soothe 100% because of the N-acetylglucosamine in it. Wonderful for IBD and really great for decreasing inflammation in the lining of anything, meaning lungs, the interstitial lining of the bladder. And then what's really great is our gut seal, because it's got a homeopathic remedy in there called thiocyaninium, and that is very, very helpful for fibrosis. I use it on my horses to try and if anything, if the older horses are starting to get anything sclerotic, like in their eyes and stuff, I start them on that and it works like a dream. It's unbelievable.
Okay. Great. Bev is asking, I work at an animal shelter and we get so many ear mites and ringworm on the kitties. Is there a natural remedy for both? I hate that they have to get injections and ear medicine.
Mm-hmm. A good homeopathic remedy for ringworm is a homeopathic remedy called sepia. What they do, I know they get tons of ear mites and ringworm. Echinacea, homeopathic echinacea, just to strengthen their immune system to help them try to derail that stuff. And when they're in shelters, I used it like I worked with Vancouver Orphan Kitten Rescue. It's the largest kitten rescue, I think maybe even in the world. And they I always got them to give aconite and arnica when the kittens first came in. But you know, natural homeopathic stuff for ear mites and ringworm. Ringworm is sepia. Ear mites is something called Staphysagria.
How do you treat blue ear? My 7-year-old German Shepherd has known, I don't know how to say this.
Where Pseudomonas.
Pseudomonas in her ears.
Yeah, that's a nasty one. So homeopathic remedies for that is often, which is often really good, is silica. And I'm always talking about Andrea when we do this, but there is a homeopathic remedy called Pseudomonas. So it's a really good remedy to use for dogs and anything. If they have the Pseudomonas bacteria anywhere, using the Pseudomonas homeopathic remedy is phenomenal. And Andrea would be able to help you with that. And I would get on that because it can cause so much scarring in your dog's ear that she's just going to have, or he's just going to have a really chronic problem. But we dealt with glue ear and Pseudomonas in ears tons of times at the clinic. So I would actually recommend that you give her reach out to Andrea for sure.
Great, thanks. Georgia is asking, hi Julie, my dog's microbiome test shows he has high levels of Clostridium and lacking in a lot of good bacteria. What would you suggest? I really don't feel comfortable doing the fecal capsules, as some people are reporting that it has made things worse. I don't know the reason. It works well for some, but not others. Also, his symptoms might suggest hookworm, worm, or whipworm. Stool is changeable. Sometimes fine, but sometimes mud pies. But always very stinky, waiting to get a more accurate test.
Okay, I have more questions for people. It's ridiculous. My question to Georgia. Georgia, are you still here? That was at 8:14.
Yeah, let me double
Pretty
check.
early. Yes, okay. Other than the inconsistent stools, does your dog have any other symptoms?
We are waiting, Georgia.
I don't even know if she's typing. Okay. Well, let's say she doesn't. It doesn't have any other symptoms besides, oh, yes, to me, his hair is thin, and for 2 years old, not that spunky. Okay. All right. Well, what I would do is I would I would just bite the bullet and I would do 3 different rotations of our probiotics. I would do, and I would use the probiotics, the 2 main probiotics that deal with hi buddy. When I recommend stuff like this, people think I'm crazy, but it doesn't cost any more money. All it does is it sort of not bombards, but it allows the body to have a crazy amount of diverse bacteria. So when I hear low energy and soft poops like that and Clostridium, I would be rotating with Gut Soothe, Soil and Sea, and Phytophthora and the wolf strain. And I don't think you guys have ever probably heard me do that. Hold you. Can you not scratch the couch? Hey. And the reason is that Phytophthora and the wolf, we know, work against Clostridium, right? To lower the levels and keep the levels in a healthy space. We've done in vitro studies. We've done a lot of different studies: Clostridia, Salmonella, and E. coli. So I would be using Phytophthora, the wolf, Soil and Sea, and Gut Soothe. But how I would rotate them is I would start off with probably Gut Soothe, and I would do Gut Soothe for a week. Then I would do Phytophthora for a week. Then I would do Soil and Sea for a week, and then I would do wolf strain for a week. Then I would go all the way back and start from start at the beginning again. It's going to be a little bit more expensive output at the beginning, but it winds up being the same cost as if you rotated them anyways, and they'll stay viable. Like, it's not like they're going to go bad or anything doing that. That's what I would do. 100%. That's what I would do. If she's getting like weird poops like that, and you know for a fact that she has high levels of Clostridium, you're going to get a dog species, you're going to get the wolf species, you're going to get turkey tail, you're going to get soil, you're going to get a soil-based probiotic, and then you're going to get the 14 strains along with that soothing quality. You're also going to get the fulvic and humic acid, which helps to draw out any kind of endotoxins and things like that that in bacteria that is pathogenic. So that's what I would do. I would just bite the bullet and just grow as many different diverse bacteria as you possibly can, and definitely use 2. He's on Soil and Sea and turkey tail and ion gut. Okay. What is the PCR test positive for hookworms? What if the PCR test positive for hookworms and whipworms? That's a good question. My honest opinion is that then you should worm him. But while you're worming him, make sure that I would put him, if you're going to worm him, I would definitely still do those 4. I would do those 4, because the worming is going to be like a bomb. So you're going to have to really put that stuff back in, and Gut Seal will be really helpful if he's had hooks and whips, because his gut's going to be inflamed for sure. If he does have hooks and hookworms and whipworms, his gut's going to be inflamed for sure. You want to try and prevent scarring in the gut. So the N-acetylglucosamine is really, really good for that. And someone was talking about Gut Seal. If you want to use just the Gut Seal homeopathics, that would be really helpful, because I think the number one thing that we get concerned about with whips and hooks is getting adhesions and getting like scarring from it. So it sounds like a lot. It's really not a lot. If you just have them on the counter and it's like, okay, you know, this week, and especially 4 weeks, because then it equals a month. It won't be that difficult. It's okay to give ground pumpkin seeds and coconut chips for worms. It is, but you know, it is, but hookworms and whipworms are in my experience not something that you want living in your dog's guts if there's a lot of them for a long period of time. You just kind of have to deal with it, and when you're dealing with it, you just make sure. And then the drug for whips and hooks are quite intense. So liver tonic would be really, really helpful just to support the detoxification process of doing that.
Great, thanks. I think I'm gonna ask the last one because
Okay.
it's getting very late,
Yeah.
especially for us. So Lisa is asking, my question is regarding my 12-year-old mini schnauzer. At her last vet appointment, her blood work showed slightly elevated ALP and ALT liver enzymes. Her hind legs shake quite a bit, especially when she's anxious, but otherwise she's great. She's currently on milk thistle, but I was wondering if the liver tonic or any other product from your line would be helpful.
Well, liver tonic, definitely. And I would be giving it 3 to 4 times a day. You don't have to just do it twice. You know what's so interesting? We've had a lot of people talk about animals with like with epilepsy or weak hind ends, or
True.
like, so there's been a lot of conversations going on about tonight about shaking legs and weak hind end weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Um, yeah, you know, ALT and ALP, in my opinion, gut health is really, really important. Like, it's very, very, very important with any kind of detoxification process. Because if the gut's not healthy, then the liver has to work overtime. So if there's any concern at all that the gut could potentially be leaking, that if there's any kind of dysbiosis in the gut or anything like that, and the gut's even leaking small amounts, it puts a huge tax on the liver. Huge tax on the liver. Because all that detoxification process is supposed to be happening in the gut. Then the liver's kind of secondary. And people often think that it's liver first and then gut, but it's not. It's gut first. So, you know, putting your dog on a really good probiotic. I'm trying to think if his back legs are weak. And you definitely have probably checked out Cushing's disease, right? Because hind end weakness and high ALT and high ALP can point to Cushing's disease.
She's saying here that her amylase was a bit low also.
Also, yeah. Well, I kind of almost feel like this dog would do well with the leaky gut protocol. If you can, I would try the leaky gut protocol on this puppy, just to see if there is some kind of seepage, and that is why the ALP and the liver enzymes are getting wacky, and especially with our amylase being low. Yeah, that is what I would do. I would put her on the leaky gut protocol.
Great. Well, I guess it's getting very, very late for us here in the Atlantic, guys. So I'm going to wrap up the webinar. I know that we still have some questions or lots of questions here. Please join our community on Facebook, the Dorbees Collective. You can post your question there, and we'll be happy to help you. I would like to thank everyone that joined us today, and especially you, Julie. I know that sometimes it's difficult to be here because of all that's going on in the farm and with everything around you. So thank you. I appreciate your time with us.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to say any
Wait,
final words.
wait,
Oh, okay.
wait. Sorry,
Emily.
I told Boyd the question where we all got confused earlier and we weren't able to answer Boyd. And we said, come back, write out your question and write it all. And so I said, write it all in the chat and I'll make sure we answer it online.
Yes.
So Boyd was able to just get it in right now. Can we
I'm
maybe
sorry.
answer it? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
and someone else said, how often can you try the leaky gut protocol? What I would ask you is to send in the information to customer service, and you can try it a whole bunch of times, but if it's not working, then we usually do something called um sort of a rotational thing. We'll put like leaky gut, and then depending on what's wrong with your dog, leaky gut, phytophthora, yeasty beast, leaky gut, phytophthora, yeasty beast. So sometimes we do this thing called a relief protocol. So if you write into customer service, Diesel, and let them know how often can you try it, are you trying it and it's not working? Because that's the big thing. Or is it working? Great. Then you can give it as often as you can keep giving it until all the symptoms resolve. So my dog developed allergies shortly after getting her initial vaccine. We thought it was environmental initially, and it seemed worse seasonally. We unfortunately started Cytopoint. It worked at first, then did not work anymore. We were in CA, but now in TN. She has now lost her hair under her tail and her privates. She gets small dots like abrasions from itching. We started UC Beast and 1 and 2 with liver tonic and such. She has significantly gotten better, but is still really itching. She now has dark patches around her eyes. She's been in the protocol 4 weeks, and we have the gut protocol as well. Cool. Okay, that's all right. And when you say unfortunately started Cytopoint, that's okay. What can happen is using Cytopoint, they can get a rebound effect. So you might, for the first 4 weeks of stopping Cytopoint, get that rebound, which means that Cytopoint's pushing it down, suppressing it, and then when the Cytopoint comes off, they have a rebound effect. So they actually get worse for a little bit before they can get better. So if it's helping, if the yeasty beast is helping, then we started yeasty beast. She has slightly gotten better, but is still really itching. It's been 4 weeks. I would stay on the yeasty beast for six full weeks. Then I would do exactly, Emily, can you put the relief protocol, do you have the relief protocol handy?
Yeah, she said.
Did she say yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she could put it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a perfect relief protocol.
And for those who are wondering the letters that Boyd put in his question, so he moved from California to Tennessee. That's what Megan is saying.
Is she putting it in? Oh, yes, she said, okay. The Cytopoint was in the past, not currently. Okay. Yeah, not currently in use, but sorry, trying to find it.
She's trying to find it. Take her time, ma'am.
So why, when I hear everything that's going on with your dog, she's the perfect candidate for this relief. That's why we developed this relief protocol. But what you can do during this, I don't know how, Boyd, you can use that, you know how we say only use this is the other important thing for anybody else that's still on these still on this. It hasn't dropped off because it's so late. The rebalancer can make a really, really big improvement. And then it stops, right? You don't continue the rebalancer. For this dog, Boyd's dog, I would definitely continue the rebalancer. I would do it 3 days a week. I would give your dog it 3 days a week. I would give the rebalancer ongoing 3 days a week. What about homeopathic sulfur for the itchiness? It's in the homeopathics in I think sulfur's in the homeopathic. We have sulfur in the Yeasty Beast? I think we do, don't we? In the Yeasty Beast 1.
I guess I'm still trying to find.
So just gut soothe for a week. Oh my God, gut soothe for a week, then Phytos Flora, and then soil and seed, then wolf. Yes.
Don't feel pressured, Emily.
So made the same mistake with Cytopoint. Well, that's diesel. Yeah, it's okay. Yes, I was just gonna say, customer service has the relief protocol like right at their fingers. They could just send it to you in a millisecond. For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Boyd, for your patience to send the question to us and to wait for us to answer it. So again, I really want to thank everyone that joined us today, and that are especially the ones that are still here at this time. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience to get to hear all the answers from Julie. I know that it's upsetting that we couldn't answer all your questions, but there's a lot, and Julie always wants to give a so good answer for you guys, so that's why sometimes it takes a while for us to get the answer.
I know.
For you, but I promise that we are doing our best to go through everything. I don't know, Julie, if you want to say some final words to everyone.
Thank you for having patience with me to get this kitty on a plane. Whether he's on it or not yet, I have no idea. Very stressful to think even going on a plane. It freaks me out. Speaking of kitties, ripping my couch. And thank you always for showing up, guys. It you know, when I was speaking to the in the chat about people being frustrated, and me saying that you just got to find your group and you got to find your, you know, your pack to be able to get recharged and stuff. Well, even though I'm tired, because I'm very tired tonight, but I get definitely recharged when I talk to you guys. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Julie. And guys, I wish you all a great night. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. You can sign up on our website to get all the info about Adore Bees, our promos, new blog postings, and future Ask Julie Anything sessions. I also put in the chat the link for our group, the Adore Bees Collective. Thank you so much, everyone, again, and I see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.